And the consumers, they are very clear in what they expect from us. They expect safe, clean, and affordable mobility. And safe and clean they are. Affordable is the challenge.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm John, and this is Adam. Did I point my finger the right way this time?
Got it right. Yeah.
Bam. Yeah, so we are here to talk about our favorite brand, Stellantis, right?
Man, okay. All right. Go ahead. I'll let you kind of get us going. Okay, so Stellantis is back in the news. John, tell them why Stellantis is back in the news.
Oh my gosh, man. So Stellantis CEO came out. I think it was during an earnings call, and basically was like, hey, if one of our brands, so Stellantis, if you don't know, owns 14 different brands. Their brands consist of Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, European brands, Alfa Romeo, Maserati. Another 15th brand supposedly is like Leap Motor. That's supposed to be their electric arm.
Yeah.
Basically,
Fiat.
he came out. Fiat, yeah, Fiat,
Yep.
Alfa Romeo, Fiat. There's a few more. They weren't all listed. So if I missed one, let me know. But he basically said, look, if y'all ain't making sales, if you ain't moving cars, we ain't moving you, or we are moving you away from us. And that was the end.
We're getting rid of you.
We're getting rid of you. Yeah. So I know for a fact, we talked about this on another episode, that Maserati just doesn't look like they're performing too good right now.
No, and so one of the things that the article called out, and I'm gonna make sure, we made this mistake before. I'm gonna make sure to put the article in the link below.
Yes.
So if you guys have questions you want to read about it, it'll be in the link below. So one of the articles we read was from Motor Authority.
Yes.
And it said that as a whole, right, Stellantis is down year over year 48%.
Dude, you got to drop a bomb after this.
Oh my God.
Unreal, man.
48%. That's a huge number.
That is
but
massive.
Here's the thing, right? Let's say that you didn't know anything about the brand, about what they're going through.
Right.
You drive past my Dodge dealership down the street. They have more cars than anybody else.
Yep.
They're trying to wheel and deal on everything they got, trying to get rid of cars, right?
Right.
When we were at Maserati the other day, I was telling the story on a previous episode.
Right.
A new Maserati Gran Turismo is 200,000 plus.
Right.
Those cars just don't hold their value after a couple of years. And as much as you and I both like Maserati because of the sound and the look and all that stuff, and he's wearing the shirt, for God's sakes.
Well, I mean, I've owned two.
They just don't perform financially year over year. And
they don't.
So if you know that going in, your tendency is going to be to go after a used car versus a new car. Absolutely. I mean, that's killing it.
Yeah.
Now, we reported back earlier this year with the recalls that Stellantis was going through and some of the stuff that was affecting Stellantis. So I think that has a big part of it. But the fact that, Carlos, the CEO of Stellantis, came out and said, hey, listen, if you guys aren't performing, we have a 10-year investment deal basically with all of our brands.
Yeah.
And if you're not performing as a brand, we're going to get rid of you. That could mean that we're going to see iconic brands like Fiat and Alfa Romeo and, Maserati. They could disappear.
Yeah. They kind of came back and kind of stepped back a little bit after the fact. And we're like, we're not going to get rid of Maserati, because that was instantly everybody was like, oh, Maserati's dead.
Yeah.
But I mean, dude, like, I'll be honest, I love Maseratis. I always have. We've talked about this in the past. But they kind of they missed the mark. And I think other brands have started to realize that, like, in maybe another episode that we talked about. How about Corvette? They make V8 cars that make power, that do the things that car guys want, and they sell a crap ton of them. And they're priced according to the market, I think. You know what I mean? They're pretty close to what they're worth.
Well, I would argue that that's not right. I think that the Corvette is actually priced significantly below what that car is really worth.
Right. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's it.
I mean, in the space, those cars, you're getting so much more car for the value that you put into a Corvette. You're getting a Corvette Z8, a C8 for 60, 70 grand. and you've essentially got a supercar flat plane crank V8, you know?
Right.
But you know, Maserati, they've got a Gran Turismo that's $200,000, and it doesn't perform like a C8, doesn't perform like a McLaren, doesn't perform like an Aston.
But I think this is kind of their own fault. And the
It's
reason,
definitely their own fault.
So if you go back to 2000, let's say 2015, right? 2015, if you heard a Maserati come by, you knew it was a Maserati. I think Jeremy Clarkson had a thing where he's sitting there eating lunch and he's talking about cars and he's like, I love petrol cars. I love this. This is what I love. And then he hears a Maserati go by and he's like, oh,
Quattroporte.
That's a Quattroporte. That's a GTS Quattroporte. And he's all perked up about it and he's excited about it.
That noise. That was a Maserati Quattroporte. I suspect the GTS model. Such a cool noise.
It's like they killed their best thing. They were like, we make the best sounding car. We'll just get rid of that. You know what I mean? What? Okay. All right, cool. Your car is a luxury car, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, got it. Luxury car. But it's gonna drive like a supercar, right? Maybe. You know, it's just they did a good job with the MC20, but had they done a V8 Trofeo version of the MC20,
and who's to say that they won't? But the problem is an MC20 is in the high twos, right?
Yeah.
The Cilio version,
the convertible,
is in the threes.
Oh, I know.
And if you start putting carbon on it, you're mid threes, high threes.
Absolutely.
And then if you're talking about like a Trofeo R version that would potentially have a V8 versus that 6-cylinder, right? I mean, you're in the fours.
Yeah. But imagine this.
And it would be okay if it was in the fours and you could sell it 2-3 years later in the fours, right? But you're going to get that car and it's going to be in the twos.
So what do you think about the Maserati that makes it depreciate that fast?
I have no idea. I'll never be able to wrap my mind around it because now I will tell you the Maserati Levante, right?
Yeah.
If you compare them side by side with like a X5M, right?
Yeah.
An Audi RS Q8, the Levante. I mean, we'll even throw one of the Porsches in there, right? The Porsche Cayenne
GTS,
right?
Yeah.
That Maserati is going to depreciate so aggressively over the next couple of years. And I just can't figure out why. The only thing I could say is maybe it's because it doesn't feel premium on the inside. It feels very Dodge.
Have you been in a new one though?
Not in the brand new ones. I was in a 19.
It's changed. It's changed since like 22 or 23. They did an update, kind of like the DBS did. You know what I mean?
Well, then what's the reason for the extreme drop?
I used to call it. I've talked about cars that'll drive by and you can hear the depreciation as it's driving. I've talked about that. And the thing is that's what I used to call that the Maserati effect. You know what I mean? It's just that. They weren't known for reliability when they did make the V8 and all that stuff. They weren't necessarily known for build quality. They had some decent build quality, but they weren't 100% like, oh my God, this is the best quality ever. The Maserati just kind of teaches you things you like about better cars. And you know what my thing is like, so it depreciates pretty quick, which is great for me, the guy that doesn't have all the money to buy the other car. But at the same time, like, what I want to depreciate doesn't. Lamborghini,
but it can't be a good business model. It can't be a good business model to have these cars that, you know, sell at a certain price point. And you're basically, I would assume that they're leasing them out and then people are buying these things on the back end of a lease, right?
But the 3-year lease, that thing goes just
through the ground, right?
And
but let's take a step away from Maserati for a second, right?
Yeah.
Alfa Romeo, right? Yeah. There's 2 dealerships here in Atlanta. They've got 3 cars right now? You've got the Giulia, you've got the Stelvio, and then you've got that one that's shared with the Dodge Hornet or whatever it is, right?
Right. I remember it's the Tonale. Tonale.
Yeah, Tonale. Yeah.
Right.
So you've got those 3 cars, and that's it. And I'll tell you, it's not like we're driving around Atlanta and I'm seeing a ton of Alfa Romeos rolling around.
Right. Well, that's the other thing too. Like when they first released the car, it was like the fastest car to market or something like that when they built it. And then like everybody kind of just dogged it. They were like, man, it's bed drives amazing. But the diff broke a week later. The this broke and then that broke. And it's just like they expect it to do what Maserati does and not be great.
But what's crazy about that is that Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio, right?
It's a sick car.
It's a cool car. It's not as aggressively styled as like a M3 competition.
But the GTA,
or
if they'd have brought that to America,
they didn't bring the GTA to America.
But if they did,
but it's not as aggressively styled as the M3 comp, right? It's not as aggressively styled as some of the other cars in its category,
right?
But it's a 500 horsepower car, right? It sounds good. It hustles, right? I mean, now they made a joke about this on Grand Tour where they said that it's got the same V angle and the same bore stroke as a Ferrari, and it's just got 2 cylinders lopped off the end. And Ferrari says no, it's their own engine.
Yeah,
but it's so close,
so similar
in technology, right?
So
you're getting a baby Ferrari, basically.
Well, if you pop the hood on it and you look at the Maserati Quattroporte GTS and you park them beside each other, you're gonna see the same stuff.
Yeah,
it looks identical, but the difference is it's a 6-cylinder and mine's a V8.
But we're talking about 2 brands here that I mean, even so, a friend of mine was thinking about getting a daily back before she got her car.
Right.
And they were doing like 30 grand off on like a 1 year, or I think it was like 25 or 30 grand off on like a 1-year-old Quadrifoglio.
That's pretty good bang for your buck though. I mean, that car, I think in the 50s, 60s, that's a solid buy.
It is.
The new, they're like 95.
That's what I'm saying. Think about what the list is on that, right? I've seen dealers do 15 off in some cases to get aggressive, but to do 20s and 30s off of a car at the dealership level, like you can't. I wonder what the profit margin is in that. I mean, and when you look back and you see that they've been losing 48% year over year, and then so you've got Jeep and Ram and Dodge, right? Jeep is a very popular brand. They always have been. They always will be, right? They have a strong following. They've got they spun off now their because they got the Grand Cherokee
like the Wagoneer.
Now they spun off the Wagoneer.
Yeah, the Wagoneer is its own thing. Yeah.
But the Wagoneer never seemed to take off, right? Because it was so heavy. And it got like single-digit gas mileage.
Car, man.
It's a big car.
I drove one. I'm driving a full-size bus right now.
Yeah, it's got some cool technology in it, though. But I mean, so you've got that.
Right.
You've got Jeep, which is going to have a strong following. But I mean, for as much strong following as Jeep has, and you can tell everybody that's listening right now, you and I went to the Jeep dealership.
Yeah.
And there was a really nice looking, what was it? Jeep Gladiator inside.
Right.
Aftermarket wheels, white, cloth interior, right? No features. I mean, it had aftermarket wheels and tires, no features on the car, and a lift kit.
Yeah.
But it didn't have a steel bumper. It didn't have a bed cover. It didn't have leather interior or vinyl interior, whatever you want to put in there, right?
Right.
And it was almost an $80,000 truck.
But I mean, in comparison, we went to Toyota and a $65,000 SUV right now. It's Toyota. $65,000. You got cloth seats,
cloth interior,
no power trunk, no regular like halogen bulbs in the front. Yep. I'm surprised it didn't have regular old crank windows, man. But no, I mean that's $65,000.
But I mean, theoretically, right? Theoretically, that car is going to go 100,000 miles more, 200,000 miles more than that Jeep, right? So theoretically,
here's my question for you: if you were the owner of Stellantis right now, and you were like, these are my companies, whatever. Let's just pull one brand. We'll say Ram. and you were like, how am I going to flip this upside down? They're not selling anything. Nothing's moving on the lot. We raised prices from like 5 years ago from $58,000 all the way up to $98,000 for the exact same
Why?
truck.
Same truck.
What's your solution? I'll tell you what mine
Well,
is.
I mean, if you're looking at Ram specifically, right? They're playing the keeping up with the Joneses thing right now, right?
Yeah.
So Ford raised their prices, Ram raised their prices, right? But I'll tell you this, I went to Ford just about a week ago.
Right.
I looked at a brand new spec'd out, right? Raptor.
Okay.
Had heads up display.
Okay.
Had the blue cruise, adaptive cruise, the whole 9 yards. Had the big screen in it, right?
Okay.
Had the speakers in the headrests, and it was 84 grand.
Okay.
Right? Comparable truck with Dodge, not the TRX, because they don't make TRX anymore, right?
Right.
So a comparable truck with Dodge, the Rebel,
I guess would be the Rebel. Yeah.
Yep. The Rebel was legitimately like almost 90 grand, and it didn't have all the same things that the F-150 had. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that the Ford's a better truck or the Dodge is a better truck. I'm just saying that I think they got a little carried away during COVID
when they were getting that free money,
and they never really kind of brought it back.
Yeah.
And
here's the other part. I think the biggest thing you can do in corrections like this is pricing. Just literally undercut your competitor with price, and you can do it.
But I don't necessarily agree with that. And I'll tell you, I'll tell you why. Because there's a lot to be said for creating value.
Right.
And what I mean by that is, if I'm Dodge, and I tell everybody I'm gonna just cut my cars. My cars are going to be cheaper than anybody else's trucks out there, right?
Right.
What does that say to you about the value of that vehicle, right?
Well, there's that. I do agree.
There's got to be some sort of perceived value, right? Well, there's a reason why people want to pay crazy money for the Tesla truck.
Well, one of the other things I'll say though is, they'll pay the money for the Tesla truck, but you saw what happened to the used market when Tesla cut their prices.
No, 100%.
It imploded.
Yeah.
I mean, it imploded the used market on their cars, their specific cars. They wanted to make a $20,000 car and they did it. You know how they did it? They literally sold it and then the next day released the price cheaper on the car that they just sold. And now that guy is taking a massive bath. So the person that's going to pay for that is us if you do drop the price like that.
And you just made the point, right? If you're Dodge and you go in and you cut the prices of all these cars, then next thing you know, I mean, the used market's going to go to trash.
It's going
right?
to implode, but it's already there. it's heading that direction.
It's heading that direction, but I really think that Dodge needs to come back out and really kind of help people see the value of those trucks, because it's a good truck.
Oh, it's a great
truck. It really is.
I've had 3 of them. Love them.
Yeah.
I'd pick my Dodge over most competitors. There's things I like about the Dodge that the other competitors, and it used to be a price point. I could buy a fully loaded, spec'd out, limited, used with like 50,000 miles on it for like 40 grand.
Yep.
And for me, that was amazing. Or I could buy the same truck from Ford or Chevy for, at that time it had been 70 grand with more miles and less tech. And I was like, oh, that's a simple, easy win for me. Maintenance is about the same. I see,
it's pretty close. But see, you and I have Maserati, Jeep, Fiat, Dodge, Chrysler, and Alfa Romeo, all here in the States, right?
Yeah.
The brands that we don't have line of sight to, that I don't know, I can't tell you how they're doing,
right?
Because I don't interact with them. Opel, Peugeot, Vauxhall, and DS automobiles, right? And then Citroen.
Yeah, and those are all their brands.
Those are all their brands. Yep.
Okay.
Now I'll tell you, when I traveled internationally, when I went to Italy and stuff, like you see a bunch of Citroen vehicles, you see a bunch of Vauxhall vehicles, right?
Right.
So I would think that they're doing okay, but I mean, if you just take the sampling of what we've seen, right?
Yeah.
A lot of Rams sitting on the parking lot.
Yeah.
A lot of Jeeps sitting on the parking lot. A lot of there's not a lot of Alfa Romeo sitting on the parking lot, but there's not a lot to be had. You know, there's not like they're driving around town. But I mean, name a Dodge vehicle other than the Dodge Charger and the Challenger.
A Dodge vehicle other than Challenger and Charger, it'd be like the Durango.
Okay.
Dodge Durango.
So we got 3.
There's another one that's smaller than the Durango that's kind of the same thing.
It's the Hornet.
Yeah, the Hornet. But I'll be honest, the Hornet was a flop. I mean, that's a car that it took the place of.
It's a huge flop.
Yeah, it's a huge flop. So this is the thing, though. The cars they have released that are like new and like supposed to be special, they release it, and you're like, that's garbage. Like,
but it's not like
it's cheap.
It's not like they have a deep, offering of cars, right? I mean,
right.
And it's funny too, because Ford kind of did this a while ago, right? Ford came out a while ago and was like, we're not building cars anymore. We're selling more trucks than anybody else on the planet.
Yeah.
We're selling more SUVs than anybody else on the planet. We're just going to build the Edge, the EcoSport, the Explorer.
Just cut cars and like
just
the
get
Ford
rid of cars
Focus
altogether.
and all that stuff. Just get rid of it. Yeah.
No, they get rid of the Focus. They get rid of the Fusion. Right. And the Fusion was a very popular car. But they got rid of all of those and they just focused on trucks and SUVs. What's interesting is I'm starting to see more and more brands like almost specialize in one type of car, or maybe not even have that many offerings. But you know, we went to the BMW dealership to get a new tire on the car the other day. Man, they got the X1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 7, and it's just, they have so many different variations on their cars, whether it be, car or SUV. And I wonder if it's because these brands have such a narrow focus.
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying?
Very possible.
I mean, Alfa Romeo's got 3 cars to choose from. I can't name a single Chrysler that's out right now.
Right. But
except for the Town and Country minivan. They still making that?
Well, yeah, I think that's the only thing they make. But it's kind of like, I mean, the truth is, we both know that the car market's changing right now.
Yeah.
At this moment, the car market is in like a weird state. Cars that people bought in 2020 and past to like 23 even probably, or 22 they're in them with a massive amount of money. They're going to lose that money. And the sad part is that dealers, Stellantis included, have overpriced vehicles due to demand being so high during a time when they didn't have a lot of cars to sell. Now they have nothing but a lot of cars to sell, and the price is still too high. And interest rates have more than tripled since that time. So the fund money's gone, and people that are in leases that think they're going to do well, they're probably not. I mean, it's
So I'm starting to see new car financing and new car leases rates come down. Right. I mean, you and I talked about one the other day was like 2.9. Right. I saw a 0.9 the other day. So I'm starting to see some of those come down, but it's on a case by case basis. It's not like industry wide. Right.
But 2.9 on a $80,000 truck that when you drive it off the lot is worth 50.
It's terrible.
A $40,000 loss for 2.9%, man, keep your percentage. I'll pay 5%. I don't give a crap. You know what I mean? Like, that's fine. It's just, I can't see that maintaining. They're going to have to lower prices if they want to bring people to buy that vehicle. Something
has got to change. And you know what? Tell us what you think it is, right? I mean, we've been on this rant for a minute.
Yeah. We both have different opinions on what we think you should do.
We do,
and
I think they help. I think they need to really reinforce perceived value and show people what those cars are made of, and help them to see where why they're so important. I mean, you think they need to drop lower prices, but the only reason you think that is because you want a TRX, but you want it for like $50,000.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, also, I mean, if they're only going to give me $30,000 for my truck, I should be able to buy a comparable truck for $50,000.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
should be. Won't be able to, but should be.
I'm not. No, I can walk in the dealership and buy their newest one that has a V6 or inline 6, whatever it is, the new Hurricane 6, for $90,000 to get the same truck I've got parked out here with a V8.
Stop.
I'd much rather have the V8.
Me too.
But anyways,
All
let
right.
us know in the
So
comments.
once again, if you made it this far into the video, we appreciate it. We appreciate you guys listening, downloading, liking, sharing, subscribing. We're working our way to get to that 500. We're a little bit more than halfway there.
Please, guys, help us out. Get us to that number.
Help us out. So
But
thanks
we appreciate
again,
y'all coming in.
and we'll talk to you guys soon.
See you guys and hit that button. See you next time. Bye.